So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this live talk with Joe. It's great to see so many of you joining us this afternoon. It's been a long week. So to celebrate National Careers Week, Joe will be giving this motivational careers talk, which will hopefully encourage, inspire and empower you all to have aspirations and dreams for your future. Please feel free to ask any questions by putting them into the chat, and Joe will aim to answer as many as he can at the end of his talk. So Joe, we'll go back to you. Good afternoon, Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for obviously joining me today. So as I talked about earlier, being the best version of you, and we're talking about a guide to putting your best foot forward. And this is something that I've written from personal experience that has helped me and my brothers become successful, many of whom you may have heard about in the views in the last couple of weeks. So a bit about myself. I grew up in a council estate in Lambeth in London. So I'm originally born and raised in South London. And I came from a disadvantaged background. So obviously around me, there wasn't really much for a young person and myself and my brothers to do. And you could quite get yourself in trouble. The challenges that I had in school, for me, was I was an STEM student in primary and secondary. So I had global development delay. And, you know, I would consider myself neurodivergent. There's a possibility that I am probably on an ADHD spectrum, or the autism spectrum disorder area. Reading and writing was a big struggle for me. Parents were told I wasn't going to match by my teachers at school. And a black male growing up in council estate in London, there was a gang of life. My next door neighbour was involved in criminal activity. You know, some older lads in where I lived were involved in that. And there's a path that many people that I went to school with followed at 16. So you probably, how did I overcome my challenge, my tough moments? So I was very fortunate to have great people around me. So for example, I was very fortunate to have great people around me, such as my parents, my grandparents, and those individuals in my life allowed me to express myself. So I was always confident in my own abilities that I can do stuff, I can be successful. So when we talk about resilience, if you get knocked down, dust yourself down and go again. And my dad taught me that anything you can do, I can do better. And what I mean by that is it's not an arrogance thing. It's more or less kind of like, you know, eventually I will get there in the end. As good as you are, I will aim to become better and a better version of yourself. And always challenge yourself to be a better version of yourself. And for me, my person was no retreat, no surrender, no quitting yourself. There are times that I thought about quitting, and there's times that I thought, oh, I don't know if I can do it, I can't do it. But you know what? I've kind of had that belief in myself that I can do it, and I will. So my career is split into two halves, as they say, you know, in professional football. First off, my career, I worked in the tech industry. So I'm a former computer science professional. I worked as a consultant manager. Then around about 2009 to 2010, I trained to become an educator, STEM and computer science. And, you know, since then, I've been involved in becoming a STEM ambassador. I have been involved in training teachers, you know, for computer science curriculum. I've even been involved in writing academic work on how to make my subject culturally relevant to young people today. So I believe in something, and in Ghanaian culture, we call pay it forward. Someone was good to me once when I was young, and this helped shape who I am today, sitting in front of you. I aim to do the same for the generations to come after me, and hopefully you do the same for the generations to come after you. Now, you probably wonder, what is a typical day like in my life? So, talking about learning about the latest developments in tech and STEM, such as cybersecurity, cloud computing, artificial intelligence. So you probably heard about ChatGPT as a big one. And obviously teaching computer science, you know, running STEM events as a STEM ambassador, and a whole number of things. Now, you're probably asking yourself, you know, is this career in tech for me? I will say yes. We have come out of the lockdown and we now rely on computer science so much that now it's part of our daily lives. So why not just be the people who use technology, be the people who generate and create the next generation of technology to be used by all of us. And it's important for me that the generation after me looks to follow in your footsteps. So whatever you do now in life going forward, remember that there'll be another young person in your shoes, you know, one day looking at what you've done and will say, you know what, I want to be like that person. So, how to make yourself stand out? Excuse me. Now, I would say volunteering in your local communities or giving up time to help an organisation is a great way to volunteer. And it's something that I did. So when I was, you know, in my 20s, I qualified as a football coach. And I volunteered actually during that summer when I was at university, helping children from disadvantaged backgrounds in football coaching. You know, I even spent time at a football club to, you know, learn some coaching and work with young people over the course of a soccer school in the summer. And it gave me sort of an idea of how to make myself stand out. Upskilling yourself, so learning a new skill. So I'm about to tell you a little secret. During the lockdown, I've been learning French, and I've been using Duolingo, and it's free to learn a new language. And there's another thing that I can add to my CV. You can also learn about the latest developments in computer science, such as cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, on platforms such as Future Learn, which I've used myself, Microsoft Learn, which is for students, if you want to get some technical certifications, IBM Skills Builder, and many more. And I definitely recommend upskilling yourself in any field that you want to go into. Is so, so important. So the mentality that I have is, obviously, as I mentioned before, is visualize it to see it. So for me, visualize and see it mentality. How to choose your A-levels and for your career and how to research is part one. So for students who are in years 12 and 13 or 16 to 19, my questions to you are, what do you want to do career-wise? What is your career goal? Where do you see yourself in your 20s and 30s and beyond? In terms of an apprenticeship, what career apprenticeship would you like to do? Is there a possibility to earn a degree or into certification from your chosen apprenticeship? What university would you like to attend if you decide to go to university? What degree do you want to study? What would you consider doing in you know, industrial placement year to get the job experience you need? Or any further studies such as a master's or PhD. And this also relates to young people who are now in year 11 as well. Because again, you need something about the bigger picture about what you wish to do. Now, if you're a student in years 9, 10, I want you to think about this. You need to start thinking about what you're going to do after you finish. Any A-levels or vacation courses that you're interested in to help with your career goal that you wish to achieve? Would you consider doing an apprenticeship? Are there opportunities to study part-time for A-levels or a degree, you know, as you go through the company? And my advice to all students or to every young person is become that competitive candidate. Your application starts before you submit it. Show interest early on, be inquisitive. One of the best things that I ever did was I actually contacted my sixth form that I really wanted to attend, and I didn't quite get the grades. So what I did was I rang them and said, "Can I please, you know, have a meeting with you?" And I came in and I had an interview with them to talk about what I wanted to do, and that allowed me to go to the sixth form that I wanted to go to. And I followed the same route when I went to university as well. So look at undertaking an internship in the summer, before and after university, post 16. So for example, STEM Learning have the Enough Field Research program, and it's a fantastic program for any student in year 12 who wants to gain career experience in STEM. And I always say, always put your best foot forward, because you never know unless you try. Create a profile on LinkedIn for yourself and document your successes and network with potential employers, because that is so important. Because as I always say this, even now myself, I get headhunted, you know, by employers because of networking, you know, and it's helped me a lot in my career. And it's also allowed me to find out opportunities for the young people that I have worked with over the 10 plus years of my career. So, got some words of wisdom for you. Try and appreciate success. And I mean, celebrate every success that you've achieved, however big or small it is success at the end of the day. And every day to your day, you can learn something new, regardless whatever age you are. And I say this as an adult as well. I learn something new every day myself. And as a young person, you can learn every day. In life, anything's possible if you put your mind to it. All you have to do is work hard and try. And I really believe in that. And for example, I'm one of 3 successful brothers who've done well in our careers. You probably heard about my middle brother, who's been in the news. He's been appointed the youngest professor at Cambridge University. You know, anything's possible, you know, if you put your mind to it. And age comes to us all. You know, I was your age, you know, probably about 20 years ago. Now, you know what? I'm fast forward 20 years later. I'm, you know, an educator. I'm a parent. You know, I'm a person who champions young people. You know, so age comes to us, all of us. and try your best to find out one thing that you're really grateful for. So, for example, I'm grateful every day that I get the opportunity to work with young people. Plan for your future. Save where you can and invest in yourself where possible. And this goes back to upskilling yourself and learning something new. Always believe in yourself, regardless of what people say. Stay true to yourself. Everyone has their own path, and challenge yourself to pursue your interests, even if they're scary. And this goes back to the no retreat, no surrender, no quitting on yourself, regardless how hard things are. You know, I have plans for myself one day, and I'm still learning, to become Dr. Ade one day. Always have a backup plan. If your original plan doesn't work, and there's nothing wrong with starting again if you have to. We've all had to start again in our lives. Even myself, I've had to start again. You know, I'm very lucky that I've had 2 amazing careers, one in tech and one in education. So I've got a couple closing messages I want to share with you, and sort of to empower you. Remain humble and always thank the people who support you along your journey and beyond. And what I mean by that, for example, when I got my first job at university, working in the tech industry, I took my parents out to dinner as a way of saying thank you. Now, I'm not saying you need to do that, of course, but you know, it's just a nice way to say thank you. Even just saying the words thank you is enough. Life's an adventure, so make it a good one. So you're able to look back or smile on your face when it's all said and done and you're retired. Help and empower people whenever you can. You know, that's so important because we're now living in a society where really we need to be empowering other people now, and other people can be empowered through a number of actions. I feel empowered, for example, and I'm very lucky that I have a brother who's at Cambridge University. I'm empowered by my younger brother who's an advocate of mental health. In life, if you want something, work hard, go out there and take it. No one's going to give you anything. You have to go out and take it yourself, and that's the mentality I have. Nothing is ever impossible if you put your mind to it. All you have to do is try, and you may even surprise yourself. Today, for example, I'm surprised myself that I'm sitting in front of you right now, talking to you about obviously my life experience, you know, how this helped me to be where I am today, and still how I have aspirations to go beyond. And it's not about where you start in life, it's about where you end up. And that is so, so important. Okay. So you may come from a different from the start of your life might be difficult, but it doesn't mean that the end of your up to the end, you know, where you are life going forward, it's gonna be that difficult. And you better look back on those times, think, you know, those are things that formed me as a character. As I said, I come from a disadvantaged background and I've gone on to be successful. My brother, Jason Ade, has gone on to be successful. My other brother, Simon Ade, has gone on to be successful. The point being this, it's not about where you start in life, it's about where you end up. I've got a couple of resources I'm going to share with you, and obviously in terms of how to sort of improve yourself. And I talked about upskilling yourself, so there's a couple of resources I have from Future Learn, Duolingo, Coursera, and so on. And these are obviously, I've mentioned obviously research placements in Nuffield. So if you're a year 12 student, definitely recommend this summer get involved in the research placement. Will definitely help you. And I've also talked about LinkedIn as well, because I think it's important with LinkedIn. It's a new version of your online CV now. So it's important to start marketing yourself for those students in year 12 and year 13. Well, let's say thank you so much for listening to me in today's session. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to speaking with you and answering any questions that you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Joe. That was really informative, and I'm sure that will really help young people with their future careers. So we said we've got some questions coming in, so I'll put those to Sophie and she will ask you.
All right.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so our first question is, how long is it taking you to get to where you are today?
That's a good question. So if I'm starting from the base of 16 years old, I was 15 years old when I was told by my teachers, look, I'm not going to amount to anything because I'm an SEN student. You know, I had global speech development at age of 6, and I'll be honest, I'm a neurodivergent. There's a possibility that I'm ADHD and autistic. So to hear that, you know, probably teachers saying you're not going to amount to anything, my mum, who's my hero, sat down with me and said, what do you want to achieve at 16, 18 and beyond? And I started to write down what I wanted to achieve. And so really 16, that is when I had that belief in myself, that's in myself. And I've just been very, you know, I suppose, you know, I've worked extremely hard to where I am. I've had 2 different successful careers. And I mean, now I'm 38 years old, showing my age, 39. Probably taking me about a good 20 plus years. But, you know, experiences along the way that's helped shape the person I am today. And hopefully, as I said, I will say the action plan that I've obviously you have access to is at a certain point, because that's what I had back in the 90s. The only difference was I wrote on 3 bits of A-side paper.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Joe. I've got another question. What is your future goals stroke aims?
Well, I've always had aspirations to university, so I do see myself teaching at university. I probably will be studying my master, which I probably, if you asked me about 10, 15 years ago, I'll be like, it's never going to happen in a million years. And hopefully one day I'm going to become Dr. Joseph Day. That's what I plan to do one day, become Dr. and contribute towards, helping, young people, make the transition from education into the tech industry, and more or less creating a pipeline to the next generation coming.
Fantastic. Okay, so I have got some more questions coming through. What do you enjoy most about your job?
There's many things I enjoy about my job. I'd probably say next generation young people, past my experience, because I think as I've lived that life, I'm 20 years ahead of many of my students. The fact that I can impart my experience onto them, my knowledge, something that I really enjoy, and it's something that I've done in a career when I worked in tech industry, and also something I've done in education. And the fact that I've been a student before, I've never forgotten what it's like to be a student. I'm able to share the experiences that I had, so I can help young people. So just imparting my knowledge and experience in computer science and STEM, but my life experience in the industry in tech.
Okay. Let me see. Do you recommend leaving school at 16 or going on to university?
Well, everyone has their own different paths. Quite interesting question, because these days you have access to apprenticeships. So for example, you could do apprenticeship at 16, or you can do a degree apprenticeship at 18. You can go on to university. There's many different pathways. When I remember when I was 16. So excuse me. I remember when I was 16 and I sat in front of my careers teacher and I said, okay, I'm thinking of leaving school at 16 and working. I was told there's only 5 different apprenticeships you can do. You're better off going to 6 more college. Things have changed. So really, it's whatever pathway suits you. And I always say this to a lot of people. There's no straight line or path. You may decide to, for example, leave school at 16 apprenticeship. Later on, there's nothing going to college, some to study. Or you may decide, okay, I might do the apprenticeship at 18, and a degree apprenticeship where you need and you get a degree on top of that. So, or you can go to university, and I went to university. So there's many options out there. You're not restricted to one option. So my advice I would say to you is choose the path that best suits you.
Fantastic. So many different paths and ways to get to where you want to. For younger students in year 10, it seems hard to find volunteers or work experience, as there are so many restrictions. Have you got any suggestions to help?
Yeah, so there are suggestions that you can do. So, for example, in terms of volunteering, depending on your area, there may be a local community centre you can volunteer in. So one thing you could do is you could go to a local community centre. I'm proficient in computer science skills to teach adults or other young people how to program, how to code. There's so much you can do on there. Or you are the YouTube generation. Why not basically volunteer skills by producing a video online on YouTube? Because that's a massive audience, and then that's a brilliant way to get your name out there and get volunteer, to get volunteer experience. Volunteer doesn't necessarily have to just be one-to-one. It can also be online. And like I said, you have these at your disposal. I know many young people have TikTok, for example, YouTube. YouTube is a thing. So why not use your skills to, inspire other people?
That's a really great answer. Thanks for that, Joe. How do you deal with juggling so many different careers?
Good question. Well, okay. So for that being said, I'm struggling in so many different. I think for me, I always have a to-do list. I like writing stuff down. You can probably tell I have a to-do list. And in terms of careers, I think my attitude for someone who struggles with school, who GCSE wise, the A stars or B's, I got grade C's and D's. You know, I've literally just taken the opportunity. I've had to volunteer sometimes to, you know, to get my career experience. And so in terms of juggling careers, it's again, referring to an action plan that, you know, you've got access to. Start thinking about what you want to do for the future going forward. Fortunate now, I'm at a stage in my career where I can also give back in other ways within education and in technology. Yeah. But I don't get asked by people, would you maintain it? And, you know, a lot of time I say, yeah, it's good to give back.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm sorry for the sound. There's a slight sound issue, but we hope everyone's able to follow along there.
No, it's good. Sorry about
that. Okay. Let me see. Is it hard work being a teacher?
It is extremely hard work being a teacher. I will tell you that now. It is hard work. I mean, it's been teaching for, oh God, I'm showing my age now. I've been teaching for nearly 13 years. Okay. And I'll be honest, when I was in secondary school and for student records, if you said to me as an SEN student, are you going to be a teacher? I would have said, I would have run them all. I would have run them all in the other direction. Life has a funny way of, you know, telling you things that you're not meant to find out until later on in life. And I did become a teacher until I was in my mid-20s. And I haven't worked in tech industry for 3 to 4 years. So it is tough being a teacher. It's also enjoyable, especially when you see the young people you work with. Today, for example, I had a year 13 group, and they said, hey, you know, thanks so much for helping us with our apprenticeships in terms of careers and this. So you're well connected. I didn't realize how connected you were. And seeing that smile on the face, being able to help, I think as a teacher, that is priceless. It's worth more than anything.
Fantastic. Okay. If I wanted to get into tech, what should I study?
Okay, so in terms of tech, first and foremost, you're a key stage 3 unit, year 9, 10, 11. I'd definitely recommend GCSE Computer Science. In years 12, 13, A-level Computer Science. But you can also study maths as well, so STEM subject. Physics will help as well, A-level. Also, or vocational, if you're doing vocational qualifications, C-Tech, for example, will definitely help you as well. You know, or B-Tech and computer science, B-Tech and computing. So a computer science related qualification definitely give you the steps. Then afterwards, depending at 16, you may decide to do an apprenticeship, or at 18, you may decide to do a degree apprenticeship. And then many organizations out there, major organizations, you know, that are now offering degree apprenticeships in artificial intelligence, security, you know, software engineering, you know, project management. They go to oyster, you know, with apprentices in the tech industry. So it depends what stage in your education you're at the moment.
Fantastic. Okay. Did you go to university to do an apprenticeship? How did you find it? Sorry. Yeah. Did you go to university or do an apprenticeship? How did you find it?
Okay, so I went to university actually. So I went to university around about 2003. So I'm going to tell you actually a story about it. So in 2002, I studied at my sixth form, and I actually took a gap year. And I really, at one point, I was 20 points short, UCAS points short of the course I wanted to get my degree. So I was thought to myself, right, I need to take a year, you know, to get some work experience. And I thought, okay, what can I possibly do, okay, to help, you know, myself and put myself in a situation that I'll be accepted to the course I really wanted to get to. So I took a job as an IT tech form for a year. And I learned so much of the stuff I learned on my course, most of it I put into that test. And I remember speaking to my university, my first university, and I said, look, I'm 20 points short of, you know, bear in mind I'm a student who's struggling still. So I got, you know, C and 2 Ds at A-level. And I, you know, I really, really want to do this course. And through my work experience, I gained that year out in a gap year working in professional reference, actually used my initiative, asked to have an interview with them and talked about what I've done. I really sold the fact I'm really passionate about studying the course I wanted. And that allowed me to do the course. So I started my university journey in September 2003. Did an industrial placement year, finished in 2007.
Okay, great. How do I gain confidence in myself and my abilities?
Okay, so take it from someone who has always been, you know, who has doubted themselves or second guessed themselves. Me, it's about believing that you can. So again, for me, going back to, you know, 1999, when I was a 15-year-old, you know, I sat down with my mum and I said, Mum, look, I want to do this career. I want to work in the tech industry. There's not people that look like me, or, you know, I don't feel I'm up to it. And my mum sort of said to me, look, okay, what do you want to 16, 18 and beyond? And I wrote this down on 3 bits of paper. I did a diagram, you know, and I started planning what I wanted to do, how I was going to achieve it, and I stuck that on the wall. And I had on that wall for 2 years. From the age of 15 to 16, I had that piece of paper on the wall, and I'll tear it down and put the one that 18, what to for 18, you know, and that helped me. That sense of motivation gave me that confidence. And as I've said, my mum for me was my hero. As it was International Women's Day, and my mum was the one that inspired myself, my brother, who's now a professor at Cambridge University, and my young brother, who's a mental health advocate. My mum went to university having 3 children. And I remember sitting there at graduation ceremony and looked at my brothers and said, look, if my mum did it, what excuse? And that gave me that motivation to believe. And even now, for example, my brother, who, like myself, is a neurodiverse educator, is now landed one of the top jobs in the country. So the point being is that if you just got to have that belief in yourself that you can do it, there'll be people that tell you you can't do it. My advice will be, you know what, you stick to your path. Yeah, you have that belief in yourself. It's going to be a hard road. I'm not going to lie to you. It is, because it was hard for me, you know. But if you strongly believe in yourself, you know what? Why not? Go for it. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day. And, you know, take 2 careers. I worked in tech industry. When I was teaching, I wasn't the best teacher, but I worked to learn, you know, and I became better. And through my industry experience and learning, I've to where I am now. I still want more for myself, for someone who's in their 30s, because I want that drive that's been instilled in me from such a young age. So don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Believe you can. You know, have something on the wall, like an action plan that's going to help you. So when you see the visualization, so you can tick it off. I've done that. I've done this. I've done it. And that's what I used to do. I used to tick it off, you know. And then once I ticked it off, I'm like, right, I've met that at 16, tear that down, put the next one on. Right? Even right now at home, you know, I actually write stuff down on paper. You know, I have a spider diagram in which a picture of where I see my career next. For example, early my master's, you know, in computer science and artificial intelligence. I want to, you know, get a job as a university lecturer. Then I said to myself after that, I've got another one, saying, right, I'll do my PhD, computer science education. And I've got another one that says, well, beyond that, I want to contribute to different areas, you know. I'm going to make you laugh. Here's an aspiration I have, that one day I hope to become the next president of the British Computer Society in the next 5 to 10 years. And I believe I will achieve that, you know. And the fact that someone like me, who, you know, was written off in school, the fact that you're told you can't do something, I just want to show you that you can do it. Nothing's ever impossible if you put your mind to it. And I'm strong. I honestly believe that, you know. Is that sort of, you know, that will inside you, you know. There will be people along the way that will tell you to say you can't do it, and they'll convince you can't do it. It's your job to believe deep down your soul that I can, and I've got one life. And when I look back, I'm tired. I'm gonna look back with a smile on my face. And you know what? I told you that. It doesn't matter how long it takes, you get there in the end, and that's my attitude to life. With anything you achieve.
Fantastic. That's such a good attitude. Okay, Joe. Let me see. Got time for a few more.
Oh yeah, we got a bit of time. Yeah, we got stuff.
So kind of leading on from that question, actually, what you were talking about just there, which career did you prefer, IT or education?
Oh, that's a tough question. Tough question. Okay, right. I'd say, well, actually, in terms of career, I'll probably say my tech career, because that's towards first and foremost. But then, as an educator, I probably enjoy my career now. I'm a lot older and a lot better, and because I've worked in industry, I have that experience with me, along with obviously, you know, being involved in STEM for 12 years of my career. You know, involved in computer science, and able to work with amazing educators across the UK and around the world in computer science. In, you You know, so I say, you know, I say it's game two halves. Early, if you ask me in my if be 10 years earlier, I would say, right, yeah, tech. Now I say education, because I realised that the link between both of them, how much, you know, how my career is shaped in both tech has shaped my career in teaching, if that makes sense, in education. And the fact that for example, I'm proud to be a STEM Learning Ambassador. You know, the fact I can give something back was something that I never imagined I'd ever do. But the fact that me today is an absolute privilege, you know. So, and I believe my future will be in education tech, you know, in that sense. I think it kind of go hand in hand.
Okay. A couple more questions. What's the best part of your day?
The best part of my day? That's a very good question. Best part of my day. Best part of my day, really, I'd say when you know, I think the best part of my day is throughout the day when I see the students I educate or I help, you know, in terms of the careers, or, you know, put a smile on their face. As a parent, you know what, you want nothing more than your own children to have a smile on their face and be inspired by the people around them. So I'd like to think, hopefully today I've inspired you with my story, and, you know, put a smile on your face if you're feeling a bit down. You know, if you put a smile on my face, you know, so, you know, that's what day is knowing that, you know, I've left you a smile on your face, and, you know, going into the weekend going forward. I mean, you can't end it any more.
Okay. We've got one last question. But before I ask you that, if there's anybody who's got any burning questions that they want to put in the chat, now's your chance. Okay. So the final question that's been put through so far is, I'm doing GCSE computer science. Any tips? So that's obviously come from a student.
Any tips? Okay, a couple of things. Well, if you want exam tips, number one, pass exam papers. Brilliant. You know, will help you with, obviously, you know, pass your computer science exam. And research for yourself. You know, for example, you know, there's lots of, you know, educational video out there to help you with subject content. Also, not just look at subject content, what would your qualification allow you to do in the future in terms of your career? Because that will help you sort of thinking about the future. You know, as a year 10 student, you need to start thinking about what you're going to do at year 11 and beyond, you know, in terms of your career, and how computer science will help you. So that's my advice to you. Work, but do the best you can. Start hard, you know. I think that's important. I think it's not, nothing's ever given. So if you're predicted a certain grade, you work towards that, and, you know what, even say smash it, go do better than expected, prove people wrong. Okay? That's what I'd say, because for me as an individual, I get great satisfaction by proving a lot of people wrong, and I proved a lot of people wrong in my career. You know, hence I'm sitting with you today. I never imagined I will be involved in the things that I do, both as a teacher of computer science and as an educator in wider education and in tech as well. So, you know, there's a lot of amazing stuff, and I will share some links with you in the chat as well in terms of careers paths as well. There's a really good I will share with you. Is that from the British Computer Society, and it's about getting disadvantaged young people into the tech industry. And that program is a program that I'm involved in because I'm hoping to become a mentor in the program. And it's about you get professional mentorship for 3 years of your career from the age of 16 to 24. So whatever stage you're in your education, you get professional mentorship from someone who works in the industry to give you tips, and it's valuable in itself.
Okay, that sounds really good. Yeah, so we can send that out to all our attendees so they can have the links to everything that we've spoken about today. And we have got another question that's come through. Yeah. Do you use your IT career knowledge in education? Is it transferable?
It is transferable. Trust me, the amount of topics I've covered, you know, I teach at GCSE in A level, you know, I always use my curriculum. So, oh, I did this industry. So, for example, I'm for GCSE computer science and A level, I'm teaching SQL. And I remember working as an IT consultant using SQL on a client site, you know, in Dublin, where I worked for the Irish government, you know, installing, you know, a piece of software. So my experience has helped me, shaped me to be even a better educator, because I'm talking from experience. And I think when you talk from experience, you've been there, done that. feel that students, you know, gravitate to me a lot more because I'm not someone just as a teacher. I've actually lived that life, and that for me, I'd say probably, it's just young people say, kudos, props, what do you want to call it? I think that has kind of been a thing that it's really me in my career, you know, and it's something that I would always continue referring to, you know, how far I go in my education career.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions that have come through, quite similar.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
First is the best way to revise for exams, and then also revision tips for someone who's struggling to retain information. That sounds just like me. So,
Right, that sounds like, I've got to be honest, that sounds like me as well. So don't worry, I'm in that same boat as well. Okay, so if you can repeat the question again, I'll start with the first one.
So the best way to revise for exams.
Okay, so depending on what type of learner you are, you can be your visual. I would say look at some videos such as Craig and Dave videos, are absolutely amazing. I use those for my GCSE students to revise. Look at those, you know, for both testing the A level, and it explains in detail, you know, particular topics you might struggle with. Also, exam papers, exam practice is so important. Just for example, having a go at exam question, getting a parent or guardian, older brother or sister to mark your answers to show you where you've gone right or wrong is so important, you know, and doing those type of things is really going to help you. In terms of retaining knowledge, mind maps, flashcards, spider diagrams, you know, sometimes I have an image. You know, I'm the type of person who likes to see things visually. So lots of stuff for me doesn't really work for me. I like a diagram. I usually pop a mind map. I pop an image on top of it to remind myself, oh, okay, I know what that is now, you know, and it helps, you know, it helps in my daily life. You know, if I'm teaching a subject and I'm teaching revision days, I usually do a mind map of what and show students what my thinking is. Yeah. And that helps them, you know, connect and say, okay, I can't think of the same thing. I think I'm right, so in that sense. So there's so many revision techniques out there. It's not one size fits all. And take for someone who's done exams, who struggled. You know, I left with what 4 A star C grades, if you want to call it, for grade 4s and 5. You know, I struggled throughout my education. I use different techniques to help me, you know, revise and prepare exams. And even a study group. You know, you've got friends, you know, your friends with your peers who are good at certain subjects. Bounce off each other. Honestly, the power of having a study group really revive at university. I'm really going to be honest with you. You know, if I didn't have a study group for someone to bounce ideas from, does that sound right? You know, I don't think I would have made it in university. I don't think I would have been successful. You know, in both obtaining my first degree in computer science and then going on to attain my teaching degree. You know, having that focus on someone to bounce ideas from. You know, such things are a silly question, and trust me, ask your teacher. You know, ask any, you know, if you've got any siblings who work in science, ask them questions. You know, they've found knowledge. There's a lot of people who can go and ask. Honestly, even myself now, if I don't know something, I will go and find out, or I'll go and ask someone. You know, because at the end of the day, you're still learning something every day.
Okay, thanks. Those great tips there, Joe. Definitely, and those are kind of things that you're going to take through for your life, because as there's often exams and learning long after you think you've left school. Lots of jobs required to take more qualifications, and so it's really good. Yeah, really good advice. So thank you everybody who's put questions into the chat. It's loads of enthusiasm there. That's great, and thank you very much, Joe, for your talk and answering those questions. So we are just coming to the end of today's talk, so I'm just going to pass you over to my colleague Lisa, she's just going to finish off. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you very much, Joe. I'm going to ask you a question here. This is something that I've had from my own son that was applying for placements. He's obviously in his he's done 2 years at uni, but he had to apply for work placements. And how do you deal with all those rejections? You know, you get put back by so many people. How do you find that enthusiasm to keep going, to keep trying? Have you got any useful tips?
Yeah, so, you know, you've got someone in front of you who's been rejected with many things. I'll tell you that now, you know, and it does hurt you. It does hurt you, but you've got to think to yourself, you've got and the process of your mind, or, you know, through your action plans, like, I know what I need to achieve and what I want to work towards, you know. So keep going. That's what I see. You're gonna get, you're not gonna get everything you want, and that's something I've learned, and so I would say, your son, to any young person, get rejected for something. It's not meant to be for you, but you keep going. Yeah, you keep. You know what? Your luck will happen, and when you get that purple patch, or green patch, they say, that's when that success starts to keep going. And it is hard. I remember when I come out of university, I'm going to tell you a secret. It took me 10 job interviews before I landed my first university job, honestly. And I'd always get to the final 2, and I'd just miss out. I'd always just miss out. And I remember saying to my mum, when is it ever going to be my turn? And I know how you feel in that sense. But, I just keep pushing. I thought, you know what? My luck will be in. And if it made me even more determined and motivated to secure my first job at university. Even so, my teaching career. And in my teaching career, it took me a couple of interviews. I got my first teaching job. You're sitting there probably surprised about it, but it's just something having a lucky break. But just keep going. That's what I say. If you get rejected for stuff, fine. I would say, for example, I've been rejected in my career for many number of interviews as an educator. I said, right, can I get feedback? Find out what I need to improve on, and I use that as a motivational tool to go forward for the next role you go for, or the next, stage of your educational career.
That's really good advice. I think, as you say, key word there is perseverance. Build on, experience and keep going forward. So thank you very much. So thanks to Joe for his informative and I would say very honest talk. And we hope our audience has been inspired to make their career what they want it to be and for it to be a success. We have been hosting live talks all this week, so you may want to take a look at our website, which is thestemhub.org, and catch up on what's been happening. There's been some really interesting talks this week from a variety of industries such as automation, construction, conservation. So thank you to everyone who joined us. Enjoy the last couple of days of National Careers Week. Thanks again, Joe, and thank you everyone for joining us. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for your time this afternoon. Honestly, one positive thought for the weekend going forward. You know what? Whatever you've done this week, celebrate it. How big or small it is. It's so important to celebrate success because success breeds confidence, and when that breeds confidence, then you're on a roll, and nothing can ever stop you. And that's my thought for you for this weekend. Going forward.
Great advice, Joe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Take care.